it was just their year, right? There was nothing anybody could do about them. Not to mention, the Mavericks weren't even supposed to be at the position they were at, right? So as a Bron and Kyrie fan, I was obviously rooting for LeBron at first. We all wanted him to get their 50 every year. We all want Bron to get that 50 year, right? But Nuggets quickly shut those dreams down. So I had to put my stock into the Mavericks, right? Because obviously that's where Kyrie plays. You got Luka there leading the bunch. They weren't even supposed to make it there, right? It was during that, I believe, trade deadline where Nico went ahead and got PJ Washington. He got Daniel Gafford from the Wizards. That's before he made the stupidest move of his life, right? I mean, I still to this day don't know why he made that trade, right? It was obviously after the final series against the Celtics where he was like, you know what, we got to move on from Luka because first of all, it was an injured Luka, right? I'm not sure if you guys remember, but Luka was injured damn near their entire playoff run. I believe the entire playoff run, right? There were moments where they would cut to his knee. He would be bleeding through his sleep, like the leg sleep he has. I know you guys remember that, right? But he still was able to lead that team to the finals. And Nico still said, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy, right? The dumbest move ever. I think stupidest trade, top one stupidest trade ever. I don't even think it's up for debate, right? But that's neither here nor there. Luka had an insane year from dropping 70 points against the Hawks during that regular season to averaging 30 plus points, winning the scoring title, to leading the playoffs in every single, or not every single stat, but most statistical categories. It was just a magical run, right? Nobody again expected the Mavericks to go that far, but obviously that Celtics team just had other plans because there was really nothing you could do about that Celtics team that year. Literally, once the year started, everybody knew the Celtics were gonna win that chip, right? They had gotten Porzingis and Drew Holiday that year, right, during that offseason before the 2024 season started, and everybody just knew it was over for them, right? Or it was over for the league, and lo and behold, they obviously ended up winning, went further, and anything could have happened then. But obviously, again, there was just nothing you could do against that Celtics roster, right? But Luka, 2024, averaging 33, what was it, 33, 9 and 9, I believe is what it rounds out to, right? I'll have graphics for all these things that I'm talking about. By the way, I'm not just going to be speaking and then just having the plain highlights. I definitely went out and made sure that I looked up everything in terms of Luka this year, because again, this was just one of those years where, right, they were up 3-0 before they finished the series, right? And then obviously Timberwolves, they couldn't get swept that way, so they had to get that one win in. But yeah, Luka was top 3 in MVP this year, or during this year. He got snubbed, bro. Because obviously his teams were higher. His team was higher or ranked than the Mavs. Right? I believe Mavs was number 5 that year, and then the Nuggets and OKC were tied that year for number 1 seed, right? Which is why Shea came in second, and then they had Luka third. But statistically, Luka was better than all of them, right? I believe Jokic was averaging a triple double, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have took Luka's 33 plus 9 and 9 over Jokic's triple double. But again, I believe Jokic was able to edge Luka out because of how high his team was, right? They were again tied for the number 1 seed with OKC. So again, there was really nothing you could do about that, right? So, but again, this was just one of those runs where we're just gonna remember just how dominant he was. And you have to remember, he was not fully healthy, chat. He wasn't fully healthy. Just imagine if this guy was healthy, bro. If he just had that one healthy playoff run. I just believe there's, even though the Celtics team, again, we could just go, their lineup was insane. We could just go all day about how stupid they were from top to bottom. You had Drew Holiday, you had Derek White, you had Jason Tatum, you had Jaylen Brown, right? You had Porzingis at the 5. Like, that starting 5 was just insane. Not to mention you had Pritchard, you had Al Horford. Who else they had? Was Keita still? I mean, I don't know if Keita was there at the time. Or they had Luke Cornett for sure. So again, they just had the roster stacked from top to bottom. But Mavericks, they just did something unimaginable. They went through that grid, that beastie Western Conference. Celtics literally had a breeze in the Eastern Conference. I believe they only lost 2 games their whole run, which was once against the Heat and then once against the Cavs, and then they ended up sweeping the Pacers in the conference finals, right? So they had a breeze to get to the finals, whereas the Mavericks had to claw every series. I mean, I guess the Timberwolves series, they did clean that up in 5 games, so you can't really say they struggled there. But again, after playing a gritty OKC defense, after playing a Clippers team that was on Luka's head, they were really just trying to take this head off, bro. I remember the PJ Washington meme, bro, because of how crazy they were trying to do Luka, right? They were just on this guy every play to where you had to get PJ to try to come to fed him. That's how much they were trying to eat this guy alive, bro. but he still prospered, he still conquered, and he still made that push to the finals. Again, this was just one of those seasons where he didn't really come out with anything besides the scoring title, but he had the hearts of everybody after this run because of how insane he was, bro. And not to mention, he had so much attention on him that he was able to create all these plays for his teammates, right? Look at these insane passes. Like this one right here. Look at this alley, bro. Because he's drawing so much attention that everybody else got to eat. Look at this. He got doubled, threw up the lob for Derrick Jones, right? That's just all the season was filled with. It was just everybody trying to attack Luka. And then he was able to just hit people like PJ, who was a insanely huge factor in beating OKC, right? We all know how crazy he went during that OKC series. Just knocking down threes from the corner left and right, to the point where I believe the series ended because Shea fouled PJ on the three, right? If I'm not mistaken, Shea ended up fouling PJ Washington on a 3-point shot, and that got them the game and that clinched the series, right? That's how just insane this run was. I can't go on enough about how crazy that run was, and unfortunately, he did fall short. He fell short from the ultimate goal, but again, he was people's champ this year, and if he had played anybody else that came out that Eastern Conference, Luka would be a champion by now. Kyrie would have his second ring by now. And yeah, all Luka would be chasing at this point is an MVP season, or MVP trophy, which I think this year he does have a great chance to get back at it, because this is probably like the closest team setup he had, and that matches that 2024 aesthetic, right? Now, I'm not comparing Austin Reeves to no Kyrie Irving, but Austin Reeves has been improving every single year, right? And if he can just be that number 2 to Luka, like Kyrie was during that playoffs run, then I wouldn't be surprised if Luka does what he did in 2024 and carries that Lakers team back to another finals run, right? Now, obviously, you do have OKC, you have the Spurs to worry about this year, but I think Lakers could definitely squeeze themselves in that third spot right there. If Timberwolves has the season that I'm imagining for them with LaMelo and Ant, then maybe they'll be 4, but I definitely think the Lakers could be top 5. Again, Luka is fully in the driver's seat now. You don't have to worry about catering to LeBron, just to like, I feel like it was a show of respect, right? Luka letting LeBron have his moments and whatnot, but now he doesn't have to worry about that. It's simply Luka. More NBA content from your boy, just hit that subscribe button and I guess turn on the notifications so you know when your boy posts. But yeah, with that being said, enjoy the rest of these highlights, and I'm out, bruh.
Seconds, they look fairly happy to be home. Under 3.5 remaining. And the Celtics up by 14. Nice pass inside to Jones. Jones gathers, lays it up and in. Another bullet pass there from Doncic.
And I don't know if he wrapped his arm around him, but that didn't look like a blocking foul from Derek White. Here you see the beautiful pass from Luka Doncic.
The double team finds Green. His three. Got it! Josh Green knocks it down. Timeout Celtics. It's cut to 11. Emmitt Smith is fired up, as is Steve Nash.
And then this pass from Luka Doncic, trapped by 2 great defenders. You got the baseline there as a third defender.
The strength